Has the toy industry killed scalping? Hello and welcome to Modern Toy Fair. I'm your host, Mr. Modern Toy Fair, and I am joined by the founder of the NECA Illuminati, the delayer of shipments, the procrastinator of pre-orders, the perfect person, my YouTube wife, Mrs. Modern Toy Fair, Jarmar_Games. But that's not all. We are also joined by the man Modern Toy Fair has full custody over, the man opposite Ramp popped and he refuses to stop, the Twilight Knight, the master of Mac, the three-pump chump of taking this show off the rails, Nate. I've already forgotten what your other title is from last week that came
Bearded Spice?
Bearded Spice, that's what it is.
Bearded Spice.
Yeah, I knew it was something beard, but I was like,
what
I
if this
can't
was
remember.
somebody's first episode and like they thought that's what I looked like?
Well, I mean, based on the thumbnails, it'd be believable sometimes. Because sometimes I pick the most expressive fucking moments in these.
Well, there
episodes
you just got like 8 of them there.
Yeah,
that you can sprinkle throughout the next.
That's gonna
through
be
the holidays.
So
just copy
a little peek behind the curtain. Every time I make the thumbnail for the live stream, I just choose a random chosen face from one of the old thumbnails from the podcast and just pop it in there and just reuse them over and over again.
Oh, like it's the same face.
Yeah, like it's literally like I don't go try to find a new one. I literally just recycle the ones from the podcast.
It's just this one constantly of me going.
Yeah, it is a lot of that one.
Speaking of recycled, have we said has scalping killed the toy industry? Have we done that podcast? Because now we're doing has the toy industry killed scalping?
No, we didn't. We haven't done the reverse.
Okay.
We've only done this version. Yeah,
I feel like we've.
Well, we haven't.
No, I
spoken
think
about
we
this
did.
at one point.
Did we?
I think we did one about scalping hurting.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we did. We did the third party market.
Third party. That's what it was. Is it a necessary evil?
Is it a necessary evil? That's what we did, man.
That's right.
It's bad when we can't even remember what podcasts we've done.
Right.
No, it'll be bad.
There's
when we
86 of them for you to go and watch on the channel. But this is episode 87, and we're here to talk about
86 times of me going.
Pretty much, yeah.
Whoa, I haven't seen that. Not with the tongue out.
I mean, we're gonna get to the point where eventually he's gonna run out of faces, and you have to do like the ooh voice face with the eyes crossed and your tongue out.
Oh, I don't think I can do it.
Well, now you're doing like the Undertaker.
That's not the Undertaker. That is a.
Yeah, I don't think I can do my eyes like that.
It's a target. Jesus Christ.
You don't know what people fans are into.
All right. So
you're not wrong.
Over the past year or so, we've noticed a trend with action figures at retail, at least, and somewhat with the bigger, higher end stuff too. A lot of this stuff isn't moving as much, and they're making more of it because they're trying to, meet that demand that we had during the pandemic. And that demand isn't really there anymore because a lot of people don't have money anymore because we're all poor from inflation and all this bullshit. So it raises the question if the, oversupply and the fact that everything's constantly going to clearance or just sitting and people are waiting for sales and stuff, like, is scalping potentially coming to an end? Like, if you look at these aftermarket prices on eBay, new stuff that is like 6 months old or less, basically retail, or realistically, you're probably overpaying for it because of shipping and a little extra added on top, but the person at their end is probably making less than they paid to begin with because of eBay fees. So like, there's not really, like, used to, God, 7-8 years ago, especially like in the height of the Funko Pop era when that was like at its like peak, people would go and you could people were quitting their jobs to go scalp action figures and toys and stuff because you could go find the stuff that was like hard to find, sell it for 4 times what it was worth, and suddenly you're rolling in it. But now you're paying to sell someone else an action figure for more than it retailed for. So I want to raise the question: do you guys think that this is I don't want to say the beginning because I feel like it already started, but the road to the end of action figure scalping?
Well, like every question you asked us on a podcast, one, The answer is we don't know. No, it's a loaded question because I think it kind of is, but kind of isn't, right? Like, in the same case of like, sure, for like the retail stuff that I guess like most things people like were waiting for a clearance or whatnot, so we're not missing out on things, I guess, as much. But then there are still like certain exclusives that could potentially get a higher price on the third party I can't even say it, third party market in specific cases. So I don't think it's going to be like completely dead because we already did a podcast about how it's a necessary evil at some points. But I mean, I for one am kind of celebrating it a little bit.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. And then I'll just pass it over to the wise Nate because he has been saying for a while now that you can pretty much get it if you want it.
If you
right?
want it, yeah.
In
Yeah.
more ways
Sounds a
than
lot
one.
dirtier
Patience.
without context.
Yeah, I know,
Patience.
right? It does.
Like, never put that together until you said it, and then I'm just like, that's not okay.
Wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So, well, there's so many things to unpack here.
Mhm.
First, let's go back to that. Let's talk about us for a second. Probably our second favorite subject after action figures. We did do that. Is this a necessary evil? And I think we talked a little bit about it. And my memory is about as good as Jarmar's, so I don't remember who said what and where the actual final opinions were. But at least at this point, I think that is kind of correct, and I think it is hurting them, or it is a necessary evil, and because it's no longer happening, it's hurting. So, like, I do want to briefly talk about
real quick to
the
be
whole,
clear.
oh, sorry.
You're saying that you think it's hurting the toy industry, that it's dying.
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to
Is
make
it
sure
a
I was
necessary
following
evil?
because
Yeah.
I was okay.
Yes. So, is it a necessary evil? Unfortunately, I think it is
Finding
and
out.
was.
Yeah.
We're finding out that, and I think honestly, Michael was the one that said that, and we were against him, so we may have to give him credit for this. I don't know.
You didn't have to say that. He would not have.
I
remembered
appreciate you, Nate. There's a reason why you're my favorite.
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, I mean, I'll admit when I'm wrong, because I'm wrong a lot. Like,
Never.
because I have opinions on everything. But, so case in point, let's talk about the whole Ollie's situation that is unraveling across the section of the United States that has an Ollie's. Where you're watching, you don't have it. I don't know. Where are we? Are we the Midwest? I don't think
We are
are.
we are
always
technically the
assumed.
Midwest.
That
Okay.
makes
Which
We're a
we're
flyover
like on the
state.
coastline of the Midwest.
We're like
Yeah,
mid-east.
I think we're
Right,
used to
right.
we're used to being considering ourselves like Northeast Ohio, so we
Yeah.
don't realize that we are a part of the Midwest.
But we're not that far away from like the East Coast.
Oh, I'm
Like,
aware, but I think the
We're
way
closer
like
to New York than we are to like Oklahoma, right?
right?
maybe
Right, I think.
I don't
Yes,
know.
Yes.
But
don't
we
but
do
know
have
I-
tornadoes, so
I think
But
what it
anyway.
is I need like the East Coast is its separate thing, and then there's everything else. You have
Yeah.
the Midwest, and then you have the West. I don't think there's really like a
Okay.
center
Wow,
or
okay.
a mid East. I think it's just
Wow.
the East Coast
Either
was like,
way.
fuck all them. Oh, and then there's the South.
There's a semi-local chain of stores called Ollie's. It's a discount buyout thing. I know they came to my awareness when they had a big, this was years ago, probably 10, 12 years ago, maybe longer, when they had a big Mattel buyout, and they had like San Diego exclusives and some Matty Collector stuff and things like that. And then some stuff that never made it to retail, like some Final Wave Green Lantern movie stuff that was never at retail. The Super Friends Kid line that never made it to retail was available at Ollie's. And so they get some weird stuff, and they get a lot of buyouts. And so just recently, they have been having a lot of Hasbro product, but just recently they have been massively inundated with Hasbro product. Like, so much. Like Star Wars figures, mostly Black Series, but some of the exclusives, some of like the credit collections, and I have even seen recently like Last Jedi figures, which was weird. And then tons of Marvel Legends, so many Marvel Legends from
so many.
all kinds of different waves. Fortnite figures.
They've got almost the
and then
entire series of
recently-
Fortnite.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
and then it's still including more of that boat that we got that was never really available at retail per se. Yeah, mine's over there, but yeah. And then just recently they got in like the $100 Captain America Winter Soldier
yeah.
shield. They also got in the.
For
I
how
think it was
much?
a Pulse.
I think it's 25.
$40.
Oh, it's 40.
What the fuck? That's crazy.
Yeah.
I kind of want to wait now
'cause
for
I
the
saw 'em.
Magneto helmet to go there, though.
Well, you could be waiting up to like 2 years because that seems to be kind of like some of the stuff, or like a year ago maybe. Because I was actually kind of looking at some specific things, and one of the things they had though also was and I believe it was a Pulse exclusive, the Trapper Wolf X-wing helmet. So the character that Dave Filoni plays in The Mandalorian,
That's not that
they
old.
did a replica helmet because it was. No, I think it's like a year.
Not even that.
Maybe.
That, because when I worked at the
I
toy
don't
store,
know.
they got that maybe 6 to 8 months ago.
Okay. Well, because it might have been, like I said, it might have been a Pulse exclusive for a while.
Oh, okay.
And then made available to fan channels. I'm not sure. Maybe it was a fan channel exclusive all the way around. I don't know. I just remember it wasn't like Walmart or Target and stuff like that. Or even, I don't know. Either way, it's so much. And I've been kind of watching, and a lot of this stuff is actually plastic free packaging. Not all of it, but some of it.
Most of it.
They're
Yeah.
also starting to get they're starting to get like Wakanda Forever figures, which those were plastic free. So yeah, I mean, it just, and like I went into our area store, which is one of the busiest, last Thursday, and there were still pallets wrapped up that had all these signs on them not to shop the pallets and stuff like that, because I'm sure dickheads were getting in there and
1,000%. Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I saw, like the most recent, like some of the most recent Marvel Legends on the carded ones, like the Falcon, when they did that one, like the retro style, it was like $8.
Yeah, it said previously
are you
12. I'm
kidding
like,
me?
it was never
So-
12.
Yeah, so let me tie that back into it now. Because
I just want to go to Ollie's. Let's stop this show.
people, yeah, right. But because of what has been like happening as far as like sales have been slowing and things like that, Hasbro sold off, they did their big Pulse 35% off because the figures weren't selling in the number because people weren't buying them. One to keep closed, one to open, one just in case, and 4, to sell. That's not happening. People are buying one, if that, or sometimes not even at all. So all the way around, this is sort of hurting. Like, it's funny because we bitched and moaned for so long that we wanted to, get enough product so exclusives weren't hard to get and things like that, and things weren't hard to get at retail. So these companies are trying, especially Hasbro, are trying to make that then a reality, when I think then, because we as toy collectors were, bitching so much, the demand was not nearly what the supply was then created. And now there's all this excess and everybody is selling new stuff. So that value continues to drop. And so like, I was trying to think of anything within the last 6 months to a year that was, a major company. I'm not going to say like, something that was like made to order or something like that. But like, has any company had anything that's been like, that has stayed kind of hot and pricey?
No, because even like the NECA Turtle stuff, that Lost in 4-pack that everyone was freaking out about at Target, it stayed around like a little above retail plus shipping. Like it never really exploded.
And they're making more.
Yeah, they're supposed to be.
The demand is there for it, and they're going to keep making it. So, it's like on one hand, we bitched about scalpers and how they took all our stuff, and then these companies made more, but they made too much. And now it's like, and the weird thing is, because I also think just because again, we wanted this stuff and they made it easier. We're not even seeing, I don't think, exclusives go for the premium that they once did. Like, look at San Diego stuff. Everybody knew, like, everybody wanted that turtle set that had the VHS boxes of the others, but I think everybody else knew that they were going to come to Walmart, so they didn't care.
Yeah,
if they didn't want that box.
Yeah.
If that was going to be like the only way to get it, we might have saw more. But shit, I still will. Like, I think within the last 6 months, definitely last 3 months, I still saw a Channel 6 set at a random Target.
Wow.
Yeah, I could say when I was out like in lower part, like when we were in Columbus, and I was trying to find any of the holothon stuff.
Right.
I would see the Channel 6 set, which was shocking. It was like maybe 1 or 2, but it is weird. Like some certain things just stay there, but I don't know if it was just because it was there and no one ever bought it. There's no way they ever got like replenished by it or something.
I have to assume it was either a
Right.
return, or maybe it was something that someone found in the back, or even could have been just because that specific store doesn't have a lot of people in the area that like collect.
Yeah.
Like,
But it's even still just showing that, you know, someone wasn't thinking with their eye on the dollar. You know, there had to be somebody out there that is like at least in the community or something like that. Because I know that, I mean, I've never been one to buy to sell, but you know, when you do sell to buy, which we occasionally do, you know, you're not making nearly as much, and with new stuff, I mean, forget it. Anything within the last 2 to 3 years, nobody wants it. Everybody has it. Everybody has multiples of it, or they got it at Target for $6, and that's certainly not helping things either. And it's almost because there's, again, still too much product and not enough people are buying it. But I mean, these Target clearances are getting insane. Like, I was half joking to some people because like they were posting that they found something at Target, and I was like, yeah, you better hurry up before it goes on clearance. Because like, as you saw last week on OnlyFigs, I bought something and it was brand new, and 6 days later it was on clearance. 6 days. Like, dude,
Target's like I do not have time for this.
Yeah, I do not have time for your bullshit. And it's just moving through so fast.
But now,
I don't know. But I definitely no. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, could that be a little bit of product of like, sure. I mean, I guess it's obvious that it is. There's just an abundance of supply in most cases, which, like we've already stated, the companies, if they would just listen to us, we could have told them not to give us that much. Just make it to where you could maybe repeat the wave, you know, 6 months later or something, to where I knew. Because just to clarify, my biggest thing with NECA that we kind of bitched and complained about wasn't that things were too difficult to get. It was, okay, we didn't get it. Now, where's the communication on, is this coming back? Am I going to be able to order it? Just to have something clear and concise so I wouldn't have to go buy it on like the third party market. I didn't ask for them to send 32 boxes of these Citrinos that like no one's buying. You know what I mean? But what I was gonna say though is with Target and like the fast clearance and stuff like that, it may be because we're getting closer into the holiday, so that window is getting shorter and shorter because they need to make sure they have space for, like, you know, the toy palooza extravaganza of everything. Because it's not just like, you know, Marvel Legends, but there's a lot of stuff, like just other toys that are just getting clearance out like crazy at Target.
Which some of that is them clearing out, but the Marvel Legends and the Hasbro stuff specifically is because Hasbro's pumping stuff out every 6 weeks. Sure.
But so I mean, I've gotten dinosaurs on sale as well. I guess the only thing I really don't see that often is McFarlane, which is surprising.
That's because he's the cheapest, you know, price point in the industry. So like he's already a reasonable price. He doesn't need to go to clearance.
Well, at Target, I've actually seen a lot of McFarlane on clearance at Target here lately.
Maybe I just never look.
Also,
that's more fair.
There could be that too. Well, yeah, and part of that is like because resets are happening. You know, because we are going into the holidays.
We're getting close.
You know, beginning of October typically is a reset season. And I also wonder if this is part of an issue that we weren't aware of before, as a combination of, yes, more product is coming, but stuff is coming late now. So stuff might be a little bit late. So it was only scheduled to be on shelves until such and such time. And because, you know, that time came quick as a ship late, I don't know. That's pure conjecture. I don't know that it's supply chain stuff still, but, you know, who knows? Who knows?
It might be factory stuff because a lot of stuff has to move to other countries with China trying to get out of the manufacturing.
That could be too.
So Jarmar brought up an interesting point as well.
Me?
Yeah. So you mentioned the fact that, you know, we wanted them to re-release stuff as well. Well, our good buddies at Hasbro are trying to kill the third-party market across all of time and space because they now are going to be re-releasing a lot of the big, like, hits, like some of the more hard-to-find, more sought-after figures from past waves, which the news was initially broken prematurely, which got him in a little bit of trouble by Big Nerdy over at Nerdzoic, friend of the show. and he people were trying to say it was fake news and that he was just putting rumors out, and it's kind of coming to fruition now. And essentially, like, that takes it a step further, because we already are seeing the modern market get just railed by just the flood of figures and the clearance and everything. And now they're going to go back and re-release stuff that's probably worth 2 to 5 times what it retailed for, maybe even 10 times in some cases. And that's going to hurt it further, which, like Nate said before, and I appreciate Nate pointing out, because I said it was a necessary evil at the time.
Never living it down.
Nope. It is. I agree with Nate. It is going to ultimately hurt the industry more than help it. Like, there needs to be like a balance in the force here. Like, the pendulum keeps swinging way too far one way or the other. It needs to like kind of find that middle ground that we were in, where like things like, if you really tried, you could find it, but it was still slightly rare enough that like there was an aftermarket to keep the collectability, as much as I hate it, alive. And I still stand by. I feel like starting in the next couple of years, companies like Hasbro are going to start producing less and less, and they're going to go from having fucking 10 waves of each line per year to going back down to like maybe 5 or less per year.
But isn't that a good thing? Like,
yes,
I
yes,
mean, I understand, like, financially, for a company to be wealthy and to appease their shareholders and everything, that may not necessarily be a good thing. But just from a consumer perspective, I feel like that is a good thing. Hasbro doesn't need to have as many waves of things, especially because we've said it before. A lot of this stuff isn't just because it has so much supply. It's like, I don't want this. I don't want this character. But they have to make it, because they can't just keep making things that we've already had.
Yeah.
So, like, maybe slowing down and maybe having like 4 things in a wave, or it doesn't. I think there's other ways that can be. I think it's a good thing. Is basically what I'm saying. And I mean, solely from a consumer's perspective, I think it's good, especially given the climate of inflation and everything else. If you still want to be able to enjoy the thing, maybe it doesn't need to be 15 figures a month coming out. I don't know.
So here's the thing, though. You have to keep in mind that you said the keyword there, inflation. We got a price hike where Marvel Legends went up 25-30%. What do you think is going to happen when they cut production in half and they're shipping less figures per year? You're going to see another price hike. You're going to be paying $30 a figure for the mostly mediocre figures they're putting out.
Well, then the market will speak. I mean, we're not obliged. We don't have to buy Marvel Legends.
I would say with Jarmar, I would actually align with Jarmar in this and say, is that such a bad thing, though? Because, coming out of PulseCon, I almost said HasCon. That was a different thing. PulseCon.
Has PulseCon gone too far?
Well, there was a HasCon one year.
Oh, okay.
Actually, in Rhode Island. So that's why. But I get confused which one exists and which one doesn't. But PulseCon, now you made me forget what I was going to say. Oh, okay.
Has
PulseCon gone too far?
So between name reveals and digital renders and packaging and all this stuff, they announced 20 G.I. Joe classified figures. 20. That's going to come out within the next 3 to 4 months. So I'm not saying I have to buy them all. I don't. I understand that. There's nobody making me. But when you see characters that you like getting made and you're kind of compelled and you like the line, especially, that's tough, because you're like, man, that's 20 figures that I could potentially want at $25 a piece.
It's $500.
What if it was 10 at $30?
I mean, you're saving $200, but you're also getting way less figures.
Right. I understand we're getting less.
Right.
But if I don't know that I'm getting less, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Exactly.
If this just how it is now,
like you don't.
we've all had to get used to how it is. Because
Yeah.
20
Right.
years ago, you could walk into a Walmart and it was packed to the gills and there was all kinds of stuff.
They were $7
and they made
each.
characters that, but that doesn't happen anymore. It's getting more and more specialized, and it's going to continue to get more expensive, and it is going to continue to become less for what we want, because we are now starting to. I mean, we're aging. So we're all, in our 30s at this point, or higher. And I mean, I'm sure some in their 20s, but you're just still getting out of your kid's time or whatever. What now?
Sorry, you just
specified
said or higher.
It was like, well,
yeah.
I
mean, a third of this podcast is in that category.
Right. Well, I mean, I look at, toy collectors when I go to toy shows. It's anywhere from kids to people in their 80s, honestly. But just.
But usually that kid is accompanied by an aging nerd who just wanted to go for themselves and brought little Timmy with them.
Like, all right, come on.
Right. Yeah.
But no, I know,
and I could be spouting a bunch of bullshit, and that's fine. But I just, again, back to the original point. I do see the scalping decreasing because of just an overabundance of product, a somewhat of a what I call droning excellence, in the sense that we're getting product. We can pick at Hasbro for this and that, paint apps and this and that, but we're getting higher quality stuff than we ever got, 10 years ago.
Oh, you're 100% right. My problem is just like you're getting less. Like they keep putting less and less in the box.
Yes, no, absolutely, and that's going to continue. But again, I forget my point. I was there.
It was on. We threw you off a little bit.
You threw me off, yeah. So it was
I'm
going
glad
somewhere.
That I can take you off the rails like you take the show off the rails.
Yeah, well.
So scalping potentially dead, but we kind of like took it away a little bit. But when you mentioned that Hasbro is like, did I say Hasbro? I guess it is Hasbro.
It is Hasbro.
I think I said I don't know. I feel like I said it weird. Anyway,
like you had a little bit of pause between Hasbro.
Yeah, I was like, Hasbro
been scalping figures.
But it seems almost that they are coming for that third-party market with re-releasing like older figures, or they could just be like, we need to make money.
I say it seems to me more like a desperation move of like the new stuff isn't moving, so let's go figure out what's the hottest stuff that's on the market from the old waves and re-release that, because it costs them less because they already have the molds.
Here's the thing. If that means that, I think this is where Nate was kind of going a little bit, but like if that means like, sure, we're getting less figures, but if we're getting more impactful things, like they could go the opposite direction and just start giving us still a bunch of bullshit, just less of the bullshit. But if we're getting more things of like, oh, we know this will do well, so we're gonna do this, then maybe we're paying an extra $4 or $5 on like a Marvel Legend figure, but you're getting things that you actually would want, and you're not just getting shoveled everything else. That's where I don't know. I tried to tie that back in.
Like I like the idea behind it, because we discussed
they killed the third party market,
like doing an archive line like they did for Black Series that Nate created 10 years ago. But I think they need to take it a step further still. I feel like rather than just re-releasing these figures that are 5+ years old, they should go and try to update them. And like
that's fair.
I'm assuming they'll change the packaging. They're not just gonna re-release it like they have with like some of the weird things like Ebony Maw and some of the other random ones that they've like shipped. But I feel like, and they've done a good job of this so far with any time they revisit a character that hasn't been in the line for a while. But I feel like they need to make sure that they do that, because not just because of the aftermarket. Like ultimately, I don't give a shit what your in-box collection's worth at the end of the day. Sorry. But I feel like just from a standpoint of, it's going to cost more than it did, because let's face it, they're going to probably call it the legendary collection or something and charge an extra $5 for it. And
sure,
I feel like at that point, like if you're paying $10 more for something that's 5 years old, maybe throw like get a new accessory, give it a little update to the paint apps, maybe give it like some of the new articulation points. Like you have these other bodies.
Usually when
like,
they
mix and
do
match.
that, a lot of times they'll do the photo reel,
which is great for characters that don't have masks, but I feel like a lot of these are going to be comic based ones would be my assumption.
Comic reel.
I thought it was a lot. Yeah.
I have no clue. I unfortunately did not see the list that Big Nerdy announced was.
I thought it was more Star Wars.
I thought it was Marvel Legends.
Couldn't tell you then.
I don't know. This is what happens when you don't actually do any research for your podcast.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below if you know. Unfortunately, Big Nerdy did that on his live stream, and I never catch his live streams. And YouTube puts live streams in a separate area from your videos when you go to like the page, so it never registers in. Like I go to like different pages I subscribe to, like trying to find something to watch while I'm working, and it never like clicks in my head like, oh, I should click the live tab to see if they have any live streams. So I always forget, and then he mentioned that he does live streams when we talked to him last, and I was like, that's right. I completely forgot that he does those kind of mildly regularly. So yeah,
way to go.
I do think that scalping's come to an end. I fear that companies like Hasbro are potentially trying to cut in on the third-party market for older stuff, which while I like it because it gives people an opportunity to not
when
have to
you
pay.
Say third party, you mean secondary market.
Secondary market, yes.
Secondary
market. I'm sorry.
Okay.
We used to call secondary market the third party sellers, but then third party became all these companies are coming in and making unlicensed stuff. So it's old terminology that I just never got over. So yes, the secondary market
or second hand.
They are coming in and, encroaching on that. Or encroaching, whatever the word is. And that just worries me of like what it will do to the industry, just because I don't want to see prices keep going up more and more than they already have. Because the product, if they're going to get to Super 7 level prices, and let's face it, that's basically the same, at some points, the same quality, if not, maybe Hasbro might be a little better than their quality.
Whoa. That is fake news at its highest. Like,
listen,
Marvel Legends are great, and some people would say that they probably have some of the best head sculpts in the industry. But you cannot tell me. You cannot tell me. I'm sure Super 7 has some QC issues.
Listen, if you compare the Lightning Collection figures to the shit that they did for the Power Ranger figures,
sure. But are we getting any Lightning? Are we getting any Lightning?
I mean, no, because Power Rangers is dead.
All right, so what
the show's going away.
Is your comic figures that you saw in one panel?
They've got that current 4-episode special event thing they're doing, and then after that, there's no current plans, and they're moving out of New Zealand.
Oh, I thought there was something new coming.
Yeah, there is the thing that they're currently working on that has the girl Red Ranger and Billy is their version of Alpha and stuff like that.
Are we surprised at this point? We don't have to dive into it. They can watch our Power Rangers discussion podcast called Ranger Power Danger on next week. But I'm just saying, Super 7 does some quality for they're expensive, but you do get a lot out of it. That's all I'm just saying. You can't compare a Super 7 figure for $45 to a Marvel Legends Spider-Man figure with one hand that does this and the other hand is a fist.
Listen, I'm a big accessory whore, but even I look at it as what's the point of all those accessories if the figure sucks?
Sorry, your turtles with wraps are not your favorite anymore. I'm sorry.
That's because I don't own them anymore.
Yeah, I know, but if we rewind time, these are the best turtles ever.
At the time they were, and then NECA gave me the Lawson turtles, and I was like, eat shit.
But I guess I'm just not as doom and gloom, but I also probably am sort of naive to everything. But I want to kind of compare it to, I guess it's weird because I always like to have that comparison between gaming, because that's an industry that I do follow closely a little bit more than toys. But there's not really a secondary market for games anymore. And that's hurting, companies like GameStop and so forth, right? But there's just a new way, maybe a better way to purchase. And I'm not making a joke about physical versus digital, but it's just become like a new version of the gaming industry in that regards. So like the secondary market, it's not thriving. It still kind of exists, but it's not like that important anymore. And I can kind of see the toy industry becoming the same way of like, we might not see as much as retail in like Target and whatnot. We may start to see more just being like Hasbro Plus and the NECAstore.com and wherever Super 7 sells their figures at Super 7 store as well. But like, I think we'll start to see maybe that become a transition, because if you look at it, we're all old people, closer to 50 than we are the, 20. I don't know. But like we just have to accept that the industry is changing. And I think that that's okay. I don't think it's the end of the industry. I just think it's going to be different. And if people aren't scalping stuff, that's cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I am
ultimately
pro scalper.
Yeah. At the end of the day, which people is probably throwing things at their screen at this point. We are for that. It's just what kind of toll will that take across the board? Mm-hmm. That remains to be seen. But for now, we can enjoy having a plethora of stuff at discount, but
I know the answer.
Ultimately, there will be a price to pay.
I know the answer. Nate, you've mentioned it in our group chat, and we know NECA has dipped their toe in it.
No.
Could it be NFTs? Could NFTs save
Wait, first off, real quick, I'm pretty sure that a few articles had just come out saying that NFTs like have already peaked.
Are absolutely worthless?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But not toy NFTs. I'm just saying.
You know what? Here, I'm going to come to your house. I'm going to take pictures of all your figures. I'll even crop out the backgrounds for you, and I'll trade you. I'll give you all the NFTs, the original files, and everything. And I get all the figures.
I would do that if I was an inbox collector, but I'm not. So, and I don't mean any shots fired at inbox.
I mean, that seemed like shots fired.
I mean, seriously, no, it's basically a picture. I mean,
with plastic-free packaging, it was.
Just thinking about that, like with all these, I have all these Star Wars figures up here on the wall, and like, what if I just had little tablets instead with the pictures?
Why is it little tablets? Like why not just a printout?
Like fancy, because they'd be fancy.
At that point, like you could probably spill. That's just because you get a shitty little like Google Chrome tablet doesn't mean they get less expensive. You could literally go get those like nice acrylic like printouts where it's like on that glass.
Ooh, the metal.
I was making it digital.
But I'm saying
what you're talking about is still a physical.
That's true.
I guess, but like.
So what Nate is? Wait a minute. Nate just said he wants a tablet on his wall displaying NFTs.
He wants multiple. He wants 100 or 200 and something tablets on that wall.
Like almost 300. Almost 300.
Essentially, you want a collection to look like Best Buy's price tags that are all digital now. So he's like plugging a thing and it updates with the new one.
I think they do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It would be so much easier.
Yeah.
When it comes to ad set time.
Yeah. Oh. I thought you meant you're never mind.
He moved on from his collection being digital.
For you to just get like those digital walls, like where they film like all the Star Wars.
The Mandalorian.
Why do you always come back to this? This irrational.
You just need that, and then it'll just constantly show the figures.
They just wrap around the whole.
Yeah.
I get to have figures. At that point, I should just have it like showing like the beach, like.
That's true.
Yeah, I could just hang out there and like feel like my own holodeck or whatever. Like,
yeah, you could literally make it like all your favorite. Like you go to Eternia, you could.
No, but I love the idea that you spend, like I don't know, $80,000, probably more, probably like $100,000 to.
I said that room was probably millions of dollars, Jarmar. There's a reason why only Disney has that.
But I just love the idea of just Nate sitting down at his desk. And it's just the same room, but just digital.
Yep. Exact same room, just all digital.
And you're like, yeah.
But it's special screen, so it still shows up on camera with depth and everything.
Money well spent.
I mean, I'm just saying. Other than GI Joe, GI Joe is the only printed comic I still get. Every other comic, any comic I read now is digital.
Oh, you're triggering Michael right now.
I don't give a shit anymore. I have like 5 comics
but no,
left.
And that's still kind of like a great example because it still is a tangent thing to toys. But the comic industry is not in great shape, and I didn't mean to laugh at it. But the delivery methods may change to increase because like people are I highly doubt people are still buying issues to like resell and be like, this is where's X amount of money.
No, I think that's the only thing they do
that's
now.
That's like
is to buy them to resell.
That's literally probably like 70% of the market is
so they don't read them anymore. How do they read?
Some people do, but most people
digitally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Most people are buying them in the hope that in like 10, 20 years it'll be worth something, or that like there'll be some key issue that becomes worth something because it's in some movie or something. Like that's most of the comic book market now, unfortunately.
Interesting. Well, I was wrong. Look, I've admitted it. I admitted it.
I need to screen cap that right here and now. Thank God that we're recording, because I need to have that as my ringtone.
If you do that, that is an NFT, and you now own it.
I do. All right. Before we close out, there's one last thing I do want to bring up, and because we focused a lot on retail, and I did mention earlier like high end stuff. So even the high end stuff isn't where it used to be. Like with Mafex and Figure Arts and stuff, used to, that stuff would sell out pre-order wise, and it would jump up 50% to 100% as soon as it shipped. Sometimes even before, because there'd be people who sell on their pre-orders, which don't buy a pre-order off someone on eBay. That's just fucking stupid. That's how you get ripped off.
Yeah. Yes.
But I've noticed it, especially with like Mafex and stuff. A lot of these figures went, like, especially with the potential of re-releases, and they're making more of them, they're sitting. Like most of the newer releases, with the exception of a couple, you can still get them on Big Bad Toy Store. A couple of them you can still get on sites like AmiAmi and Hobby Link. And even Figure Arts, a lot of that stuff is just sitting and waiting. Like people are waiting for them to go on sale or discount and stuff. So it's not just retail that's feeling these effects. It's across the board everywhere.
Right.
And it really is kind of interesting to see where things are going to go. I really hope that it doesn't go to like the grim idea of like everything just becoming super expensive because they had to cut down production and now they're making less money. But only time will tell. Before we close out though, Nate, I did send you the Patreon input if you'd like to dramatically read that.
I will.
That's a good idea.
This segment brought to you by Liquid Death.
They're not a sponsor. Pay us.
They're a sponsor to everybody else. Get on that.
If you don't want plastic in your water, drink Liquid Death.
I mean, I could dramatically read the side of that can because it's a good one. All right. Are you ready? Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. This comes from our good friend Suck My Taint.
Whoa, I'm sorry.
It is.
Comes from what?
Did the name change?
Yeah, did you just like completely unkayfabed it there?
I thought it was Sukuma.
It's a Sukma Tant. You said Suck My Taint.
It depends. Well, it depends.
There's no I or you.
He's using his
Well,
Midwestern.
He's using the Americanization of it.
That's taint.
It's like going from Ang to Ong.
Yeah. I mean, listen, guys. It's all how you read it. I apologize if I offended Suck My Taint in any way.
So much funnier. I don't know why.
I guess because he's kept it like kayfabe for like months, and now he's just like over it.
It's the Undertaker is alive. We didn't even know.
All right. This one goes out to you, Suckma. All right. Scalping dying off is the harbinger of the toy market, starting to come down to the market saturation and an incoming economic recession. Collectors have enough stuff and not enough money. Toy makers are also overproducing. It's the bullwhip effect in action. I don't know what that is. Can someone help me?
Like cracking the whip and the whip comes back, I think.
I don't know what a bullwhip is.
A bullwhip is like Indiana Jones.
I mean, I know what a bullwhip is,
Oh,
like Indiana
okay.
Jones. Yeah, but okay. It could just be me. All right.
I'm not. Never
Resume.
mind.
High demand causes producers to increase production, but there's a delay in how long it takes the production to come online. By the time the new product appears, demand is down, causing producers to underproduce for a period of time until demand rises. The graph of the production curve over time is shaped like a bullwhip being snapped through the air. Oh, he explained it for me. If I'd have just kept reading.
We are idiots. I started
Mr.
looking
Paint,
up. I looked it up, and we were dead wrong with my guess too, by the way.
Okay. All right.
Oh man.
The real money in the secondary market will be made during the underproduction cycle in the coming years, when toy makers slow down production. Any key figures made during this time will be made in smaller numbers and will become more valuable when the next collecting cycle begins. Look for B and C list characters that collectors will need to complete future teams and scoop them up on clearance in the coming years.
Alrighty.
Can you get the more you know thing to come over?
Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of production budget.
We have it.
Can't you just rip it off of the YouTube and just put it on there? Like, you can find it. Like, it's not. I can send you a GIF like right now.
The way you made it sound like you wanted me to have it like go over your face, so that's why.
No, just all over my face.
Well,
like,
see, I feel like it'd
be
be very rude to do because ironically, Sukma, when we first did the toy therapies, I was adding in little clips like that because that was, what YouTube was kind of going towards. And he was the first person to be like, I hate that. So I feel like it would be kind of rude to be like, do it right over his Patreon input.
Well, I mean, okay. I could message him, I guess. So I think he would appreciate that one.
Well, you can message him and you can talk it out. All right. On that note,
I'm not reading the other one.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I feel like if you did, you'd have to cut out the last third of it.
Wait, there's two submissions?
No, it's his podcast.
The
idea.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry, suck my taint. That's just not happening this week. We love you.
Now I need to know.
Yeah, it's a little.
I'll say
Yeah. Yeah, on that note, let us know in the comments below what your thoughts and feelings are. Do you think scalping is still, hot and bothered and going crazy? Do you think that it's on its way out? Are you worried about the toy market? Like we are? Let us know in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe. Helps us out, gets you toy-related content in your feed, including reviews, how to pose videos, the weekly live stream, and the weekly podcast. You can also check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Modern Toy Fair. If you'd like to get some shirts or mugs or a bunch of other merch with our logos and different inside jokes on them, you can head over to tpublic.com/Modern Toy Fair. If you are already a fan of the show and like to help support us, you can head over to patreon.com/Modern Toy Fair, where we have a bunch of different tiers of different rewards, varying from episode input. You can see exclusive episodes of the podcast, get episodes early, get physical prints of the photos I take, even see the photos early, all sorts of different stuff. There's free trials. Go check it out. We actually had one of those free trials convert recently, so people seem to be enjoying it. Trying to come up with more stuff to add to it as well. You can check Jarmar out over at TikTok at Jarmar_games. Ish.
Where I do dances.
Yeah, he takes his top off. It's great. Nate, what you got for us?
Well, I have this is sort of awkward, but I have a podcast coming out this week. It's called I. It's pronounced I. But it's also a Power Ranger podcast.
Like Alpha. It took me a minute. I'm like, what?
Yeah. It's going to be like mostly like what we're gonna do is we're gonna just like listen to Jarmar's show and then talk shit about it.
Well, it's funny enough because there is actually a follow-up podcast that I have coming out called Power Rangers. And we're gonna listen to you break down each episode, and we're gonna break down I, and we're just gonna go in and just figure out like all the wrong information that they spewed out throughout that episode. So it should be a good week.
You know, that's real funny, guys. I actually have my own podcast coming out. It's called Ranger Stranger Danger, where I review both of your podcasts, and I talk about how ridiculous you both are, and I don't know why I affiliate with you. So it's really a wild concept.
Well, you guys stay tuned.
It's all on the same podcast network. So
Yeah, they're all on the same. They all just come out from the same thing. They're not like separate podcasts at all.
It's in the same feed.
Yep. And they're out of order.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll never know which one's revealing what. One revealing a future episode.
It's like the movie Memento, just terrible.
Oh my god. All right. Well, hopefully on that note, we see you next week. Same toy time, same Toy Fair channel. Thank you for watching.